Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Stephen A. Williams, president and founder of the creditrepairshop.com. And in this video, we're going to talk about something that I'm seeing happen across the debt collection lawsuit hemisphere. The debt collectors are taking it up a step because obviously a lot of you have been utilizing the information that I've been teaching, that I've been sharing, and we together are all winning a lot of cases. We're putting a lot of pressure on debt collectors. And remember, debt collectors don't buy debt just to play around. Debt collectors are buying debt to make millions of dollars. And when you go up against someone and you're winning in a game that they're used to winning all the time, or winning the majority of the time, or winning a percentage of the time that is built into their profit margin, and you mess up that game, they're going to try to shift the game. They're not going to just stand there and say, okay, we win some, we lose some. No, they're going to step up their game, and this is what they're doing. They are starting to send out pre-trial questionnaires. And this is something that where they're going to try to prove more about their case, because they know that the standards that when people challenge what they've produced already doesn't meet the standard most of the time. And if you get in front of the right judge, that it's most likely going to be dismissed, if it's not outright dismissed by the debt collector. So I think the way that I would like to explain this that might help you get it, and how my thought process works with something like this, and it still with this, it's even with them doing this, it's still going to come down to a decision. But what it makes people do, or the thought process that people go through when they see this done to them, by getting this, 5, 6, or 7 sheets with direct questions on it about the account that you had with the original creditor, it makes people think I'm, telling them everything to prove their case. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you some ideas on what you can do if you run into this. And you need to be aware of it, because this is what they're going to start doing. They're not going to always just say, forget about it, we can't prove our case. So look at it this way. This is my thought process. Regardless of what's going on with a case, regardless of what's going on, when it boils all down to it, it is not between you and the original creditor. That we always, we always talk about that, where they don't have the contract, and we know that they are allowed to buy debt and come after people for it. They use words like transfer, to sign, to assume, all of that stuff. The reason why they use those words is because they want to try to make it like they assume the position of the original creditor when they're actually buying the debt. They can use all the terms that they want, but they're actually still, when it comes down to it, they're buying the debt, and they're trying to collect on the debt by utilizing all of the proof that they were able to get from the original creditor. And we know that the original creditor does not give them all of the proof that allows them to just, be like they're the original creditor. They're not going to give them all of the accounting. They're just going to give 2 statements. So this is what the original creditor would have. The debt collector is just going to have a couple of statements. That's what they're going to have. The original creditor is going to have a full account number. The debt collector is only going to have the last 4. The original creditor is going to do an affidavit of sale, and on that affidavit, it's going to say that the debt collector assumes all the responsibility, and the original creditor is not going to want to be on the hook for any mistakes that are made. So we know that in that affidavit, they state that it could have inaccuracies. Now, the words that they'll use on there is that they just will not guarantee it. So we know that the debt collector has a document in their hand, and they don't always show this document because it can give you, give you ammunition to be able to go against them. But they had that affidavit, and the affidavit, the way they use it, is just to prove the sale. They don't want you to read the affidavit because the affidavit that they got shows that 100% accuracy doesn't exist. That 100% accuracy doesn't exist. The original creditor has privacy signatures from you when you set up the account. The debt collector does not have any privacy rights to your information. They imply it through the account, but when you look at the whole thing, when you ask them about privacy to see everything about you, they don't have that. That's why you have to be very specific. It's about my personal data. Show me how you have access to my personal data. And the original creditor, in I would say most cases, does not give that right over to them. They're just giving them accounts, and they're telling them, hey, you got to figure out how you're going to go after them. And see, this is where the problem comes in, is that people are utilizing my teachings and they're requesting that, and it's like they don't have that information. No one's ever asked it that way. Yeah, where did you get the account? We got it from them. Okay, where's my the privacy? Privacy is huge right now. Another thing is the chain custody. So now, when they purchase the debt, these two things are going to come together, and the debt collector needs to have a chain of custody. This is very important because if it's sold from one debt collector to another debt collector, or it went from one lender to another lender to another lender that did, you never know what they've done with it. You need to get this because all of these individuals, all of these companies, and I could say individuals, because didn't they say a corporation is an individual? So all of these individuals had access to your private information. You want to make sure that it was utilized and shared and stored properly. We'd even stepped that game up on them. So we want to see the chain of custody. They have to prove a chain of custody, but these are things that they don't want you to know about. So now, let's just take this. There's other things that you could look at. The 1099, you want to, I'll put that right here. 1099-C, you want to call the IRS. Make sure 1099-C was not done. If any other debt collectors or companies had the debt, you want to question the 1099-C with the debt collector. Straight up ask them. So you're asking the IRS, you're straight up asking the debt collector. Do they know of any of the companies, individuals in that chain of custody that have filed a 1099-C? That's what you got to do. So now, but let's get back to this here, pre-trial questions. So what I've done here for you, and I hope that you're getting what I've just actually done for you. Who are you in court up against? Are you in court up against the original creditor, or are you in court up against a debt collector? So when they send you that pre-trial questionnaire, this is what, we're just talking right now. We're just talking. Do you have to answer any questions that are not pertaining to the case itself? Do you have to answer any questions that may make your case not, that could take away your defense of the case? That's going to be a good question, a good question to put to the test, because really the only thing that you're fighting is against the debt collector and the information that they've provided to build their case. And but they can't, they're asking questions that would normally be asked with the original creditor. Now, this This strategy may not work if you're dealing with an original creditor because they can ask you those questions. But when you're getting to a debt collector and they ask those questions, do you have to answer those questions if it's not pertaining to the case? Because the actual case is really about a debt collection company who has purchased a portfolio of debts, and they're trying to collect on that debt based on the information that they have provided to you. They did not provide all of this information. They implied that information, but they did not provide that information. So why would they ask you in a pre-trial questionnaire anything about information that they did not provide? Because wouldn't that put you in a situation to where, in a way, you're giving up your defense that you have against them? So, bottom line, and this is just us talking, you get a questionnaire like this, maybe, and you need to look up your state laws. Some state laws allow you not to answer anything that does not pertain to the case itself. But the gray area in that, which there's a lot of gray areas for debt collectors too with the stuff that they do, the gray area in that is if they ask you a question about the original creditor and the original creditor is not part of the case, the original creditor asking a question is always like these little technicalities. If they ask you something that you did with the original creditor, does that actually have to do with the debt collector? That's going to be the question that's going to need to be answered. And that's it's always about trying different things. Worst case that could happen is that they say, well, you have to answer it, but there's still there's multiple things that you have in your pocket, but the biggest thing that you have in your back pocket when it comes to dealing with debt collectors is this part right here. They might be able to get the full account number. Might be able to get the full account number. Might. But this right here, that's in your back pocket right there. When a debt collector comes to you and they say that you owe them $10,000, you owe us $10,000. If you were to go and to ask the original creditor, how are you coming up with $10,000? They would give you a true accounting of how they see you came up with owing them $10,000. They'll give you every piece of information, every receipt, every signature that you signed for something, every restaurant receipt, every gas station receipt, every Amazon store receipt, every receipt that you ever utilize that card for. But if you go to the debt collector says you owe me $10,000, and you ask a simple question, show me the accounting. They will not be able to get that from the original creditor. That's very important. That's in your back pocket. Now, they're going to try to come back and say, well, we had these statements. Well, I don't recall that. Then they might say, well, did you have disputes with the original creditor? That is not pertaining to the case. You said you had that I owe this debt. I want to see how you're coming up with $10,000. Just answer that question. I'm here. I'm here, right here with you. I'm not avoiding anything. Show me how you came up with $10,000. And when we get that answer to that question, we will see debt collectors, as we've seen already, they start to dismiss those cases. So if you're going through this, let me know. I want to hear it in the comments. I want to hear what was the end result. I think that we're doing excellent work. I think I congratulate everyone who is fighting. I see some of the responses that people send me in just to take a look at, and I'm like, man, you're doing a great job. Continue fighting back. Worst case scenario, you end up doing the settlement. Best case, you end up winning. And some of the times when you're going to win, it doesn't look like you're going to win until you win. If you need help with your credit, please visit us at thecreditrepairshop.com. Watch the video, what makes a difference, so you can see my 8-point validation process, my 2-phase settlement process. If you need your credit reports and scores, go to the website your3scores.com. Grab your TransUnion, Equifax, Experian credit reports and all 3 scores. It has all the information on there. If you have debt collectors coming after you, grab my 3-pack of letters. The link is below here. Cease and desist collection activities letter, not communications. Cease and desist collection activities letter, debt validation letter, and statute of limitations letter. Thank you for your time. Please post your questions and comments. This is Stephen A. Williams, President and Founder of the CreditRepairShop.com.